There is the third conference, the modal verb do or does to present the present tense. There is, let's talk about the role of the modal verb do or does. To present the present tense, the number of the subject and the role of the subject in the conversation. The modal verbs do and does describe the general verb with the emphasis on the definition of the general verb to actualize at the present when the conversation with the speaker takes place. The speaker intends to inform the subject in a clause so that the listeners can gather the proper information in each clause according to the priority of the subject. The modal verb do all the two letters of the modal verb do are included in the modal verb does, and we can understand that the modal verb do is close to the basic form of the modal verb because there is the additional suffix es behind the modal verb do. The modal verb does is applied for the second classification of the subject whose number is 1 and does not participate in the conversation among the speaker and the listeners. Out of the 4 cases, we can understand that the case that the speaker applies the modal verb does is relatively limited. So we can also understand that the speaker applies the modal verb does to reveal to the listeners who participate in the conversation with the speaker at the present that this clause conveys the additional information to the listeners in the conversation because the subject indicated by the personal pronoun he, she, or it does not participate in the conversation and whose number is 1. We can also say that this subject is additional to the conversation among the speaker and the listeners. We can also understand that the suffix es is additional. Compared to the modal verb do to describe the plural subject or the participant in the conversation, the modal verb does signifies that the subject is a non-participant in the conversation. There is a clause, he does finish his homework. From the application of the modal verb does, the form of the transitive verb finish stays in its original form. And we can understand that the modal verb does reveals that the number of the subject indicated by the personal pronoun he is 1 and does not participate in the conversation among the speaker and the listeners. There is the fourth conference, the modal verb will to present the future tense. The speaker who states a clause about an experience, a condition, or an action to be actualized certainly in the future states the clause the same as a clause stated in the present tense because this can be understood with the definition of the word will that is also applied as a noun. the definition of the noun will indicate the determination of the subject. So the speaker considers that the experience, condition, or action that is too obvious to actualize in the future, that needed to be determined by the subject. So the speaker states the experience, condition, or action to be actualized in the future very firmly, the same as the clause stated in the present tense to describe the present. This explanation tells us about the possibility that the definition of the experience, condition, or action described by the general verb or the be verb can be actualized by the other subject
in the future.
From the fact that the experience, condition, or action
Maybe
needed to be determined by the subject. The speaker who states on experience or condition or on action that is relatively obvious to actualize applies the form of the statement to apply the be verb to describe the condition of the subject on the premise that the subject exists. The present participle going to specify the definition of the be verb about how the subject is. We can understand that the subject actualizes the action indicated by the intransitive verb go, and the speaker applies the preposition to reveal the destination of the action indicated by the intransitive verb go.
that is stated in the form of the present participle going to specify the definition of the be verb.
The object of the preposition
To
can be a description, especially the root infinitive whose form is the same as a verb. This reveals that the speaker sets the premise, the two premises for the subject to actualize on experience or condition or an action on the basis at a point in time and at a place. So we can understand that the subject described by the be verb, the present participle going as an adverb, and the preposition to, as well as the root infinitive to indicate an experience, a condition, or an action
as the object of the preposition to
is heading to the time and place when the experience, condition, or action indicated by the root infinitive, that is the object of the preposition to, actualizes. So we learned that the speaker reveals a future event in the three ways. The application of the modal verb will is one of the three ways. The modal verb will describes the general verb and the be verb whose definitions are supposed to actualize in the future when the conversation with the speaker is not going to actualize. The application of the modal verb will may imply the fact that the subject needs to
be
determined on the actualization of the experience, condition, or action indicated by the definition of the verb. There is a clause. She will finish her homework. The modal verb will specify the definition of the transitive verb finish, and the form of the transitive verb finish stays in its original form. The constant form of the general verb or be verb specified by the modal verb
will
reveals that the actualization of the experience, condition, or action indicated by the verb can be
done by
the other subject. The general verb finish does not signify the number of the subject and the role of the subject in the conversation with the speaker, because the listeners may consider that the clause conveys the less prioritized experience, condition, or action than the statement about the present. So, the be verb described by the modal verb will stays in its original form of the be verb be, not to signify the number of the subject and the role of the subject in the conversation with the speaker. There is the second clause, everyone will be happy. The form of the be verb be stays in its original form, and we can also understand that the future existence of the subject
can be determined by the speaker who states the clause at the present.
We can also understand the intent of the speaker. That whether the subject exists or not in the future
can be accorded to the determination allowed by Jesus Christ, and
is needed to be separately stated by the modal verb will as well as the be verb that already includes the trait of an adverb, the preposition as. The verb to convey the definition that is certain to actualize in the future is stated with the present tense in the clause. Like the clause, the earth revolves around the sun. So the description with the modal verb will emphasizes that the definition of the verb is expected to actualize in the future.